I want to talk about something that I run into all the time as a frugal and zero waste person, but I feel like is not really addressed enough. What happens when your values clash? What happens when you're trying to be zero waste and you're trying to be frugal, but those things just don't magically line up? When you want to choose the zero waste option, but the frugal option makes more sense. And then you're left standing there feeling guilty no matter which you choose. Because lately, this has been my reality. I care deeply about three different things: living with less waste, being as eco friendly as I can be, but also staying within a very tight budget. And most of the time, people talk about these things as though they magically line up. But sometimes they absolutely do not. Let me give you a really good example. I love my soap swisher. You can just use some pure soap, which comes in cardboard packaging, so that's very eco-friendly and a very easy, low-waste way to wash your dishes. A packet of 8 pure bar soaps from Worst is $4.20, so it's very frugal. But the problem is I'm already finding soap scum build up on some of my dishes, especially the glassware, so I'm not happy with the results. So I've done some research on Etsy and I found some beautiful pure bar soaps made for dishwashing, and they will reduce the soap scum issue. But the problem is it's $24 for 2 bars delivered, so it's really expensive. And considering I've already got 2.5 bottles of dishwashing liquid already here, the most frugal option is to use what I've got, but it's not the most eco-friendly. So I have to ask myself, am I being more ethical by buying the eco version, or by using the less eco version of what already exists in my home, creating less demand on resources? Because throwing money at a better product doesn't automatically cancel out the waste of what's already been made. Let me show you another example of a conundrum I've been facing. I clean my toilet with vinegar and bicarb. They're very eco-friendly and cheap, but I'm going to have to buy some more soon, and I have 3 bottles of disinfectant in there that I've received in trolley hauls. You can check out my other videos for how I get cheap household items and food, but they cost me next to nothing and I've already got them, so I might as well use them even though they're the less eco-friendly option. The same could be said for this. I've got 2 pouches of refills for pump soap, which again came in trolleys, so they cost me next to nothing, but I actually purchase bar soap in boxes because the box is recyclable and bar soap doesn't use any plastic. So again, the ethical dilemma between frugal and zero waste or low waste. I think this is the uncomfortable truth about sustainable living. Sometimes the most sustainable option isn't the prettiest, it isn't the cheapest, and it isn't the most Instagram worthy. Sometimes it's just using the thing that you've already got. There's also this quiet guilt that creeps in when you already own something that's bad, like somehow you should make up for it by buying something better, but guilt doesn't reduce waste. It just makes the decision making exhausting. Sustainability isn't a checklist, it's contextual. What's sustainable for someone who has plenty of money and plenty of storage space is going to look so different to someone who's on a very tight budget or living in a tiny space. And honestly, a lot of this eco living is still based around buying stuff, which is counterproductive. Buying refills, buying upgrades, buying swaps. Often the most radical thing you can do is just buy nothing at all. This is where I think we need to be kinder to ourselves, because sustainability isn't always about just choosing the most eco-friendly option. It's about making the least harmful choice that you can within your circumstances. And quite often that does not look perfect. And if you've ever had that weird guilt of thinking, I know better, so I should do better, you're not alone, because I feel that all the time too. But knowing better isn't ignoring reality. We still have to live within the construct and the confines of what our personal reality is. Budget matters, mental load matters, using what you've already got matters. I think social media can give the impression that living a sustainable life is this beautiful Pinterest board worthy life, but the reality is not that at all. For most of us, it's actually really messy. It's cupboards half full of things that we haven't got around to using or we bought before we knew what we know now. It's tight weeks, it's compromise. And that doesn't mean that you're failing at it, it just means you're human and you're giving it a go. Frugality is sustainability. Living within your means reduces pressure, it reduces consumption, and it reduces spending. And that financial stability matters, especially if you want to be able to make a real difference over the long term. I'm learning to accept that some seasons of life are about maintenance, they're not about improvement. If you're also in that season where sometimes you have to choose frugal over eco, That's okay, that's still valid. It just means that you're human. So if you ever feel stuck between frugal and zero waste, just remember you don't have to be perfect to be intentional, and you don't have to buy better to do better. Sometimes the most ethical choice is the one that helps you sleep at night. So if you're ever standing there trying to choose between frugal and eco-friendly, just remember using what you have is not a failure, and making choices that keep your household stable is not selfish. Sustainability has to be sustainable for you. I'd love to know, have you ever found yourself in this dilemma that I often find myself in, trying to make the decision between saving money and using what I've got, or using what I know would be a better option, but I really just can't justify the money? So if this is something that you quietly struggle with too, let us know, because you're not alone.